Okay, today we're going to do cheeseburger soup. And the first thing you need to do is put a tablespoon of butter in your pan. Get that ready to go. And the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of butter divided, some ground beef, which we'll put in later, and we got to do some onions, some carrots and celery, and we need to saute those vegetables before we do anything else. So let's go ahead and get that going. It says shredded carrots. All I could find in the store were baby carrots at the time, so I just kind of thinly sliced them. And our frozen onions from the freezer, and a celery stalk. It only took 1 celery stalk to make 3/4 of a cup. And I'm pretty sure this soup can be doubled, tripled, whatever you need. We're just gonna make it like it says in the recipe. It also said that while you're sauteing, you need to add your basil and parsley. So we'll go ahead and do that. 1 teaspoon of parsley, and I think it's a teaspoon of basil. It is. And that was dry basil and dry parsley on both of those. Alright, I'll see you in a minute. I'm going to get these vegetables sauteed. So the vegetables are ready. They're tender and they're ready to add the rest of the ingredients. Okay? Let's go ahead and add our broth. It'll be 3 cups of chicken broth. Potatoes. About 4 cups worth. I think I went just a little bit over. And about 1/2 pound of ground beef. Already cooked, loose, and drained. We did this the other night when we was doing our creamy beef and shells video. So we cooked extra meat. And we decided to set it aside for this recipe. Let's see what's next. Alright, so you just keep this cooking and bring to a boil. And then we simmer it until the potatoes are tender. It's supposed to be about 10 or 12 minutes. I'll come back to this in just a second. Alright, so while that's simmering, we can go ahead and make our roux. You will melt the remaining butter, which is 3 tablespoons, in a small saucepan. And you need to add flour, which is 1/4 of a cup. And get a whisk. 1/4 of a cup. So let's get this melted first. This we're going to use to thicken the soup. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Probably use cornstarch if you wanted to. This is what we'll add to that soup that we started to thicken it when it's ready. We've got to wait until those potatoes are tender, and they're not there yet. So I'll come back to you in just a few minutes. Okay, so it's time to put our roux into our soup. The potatoes are just now fork tender. So I'm going to take this roux and I'm going to put it in here and hope that this works without making it look terrible and taste terrible. Okay. So set that aside. You need to kind of whisk that in just a little bit. Of course, you can't do too much because you got a lot of potatoes in here. You don't want the potatoes to be like mashed potatoes, right? So you kind of just fold it in just a little bit. And this will be what thickens it. It's still not dissolved fully yet. I have to be really careful because I don't want my potatoes to be mashed. And the more I move them, the worse it's going to get. Okay. So you let that sit there for a second and turn the heat up just a little. Alright, so let's come to a olive oil again. It's starting to thicken. So we need to get the rest of our ingredients in. The next thing that we need to add is you need to stir in your cheese. First, reduce your heat to low. Stir in your cheese. This is about 4 cups of Velveeta, shredded. I bought it already shredded because I figured that would probably be kind of hard for me to do myself. You know, usually I shred my own. Alright, so we add that in. And we need about 1.5 cups of milk. And we just use our dry cup measure, it's fine. So half. And 1. Okay. Okay, and then we just cook this until this cheese melts. It won't be long. And we're going to add some salt and pepper. And then at the very end, we'll add the sour cream. And it's almost done. So let's do some salt and pepper. So I'm using kosher salt. You could probably use any kind of salt that you would like. It calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to put in just a little bit there. And then pepper, it calls for 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm just going to sprinkle generously. And then that would be something that you need to leave out if your diet, you can't have it. Alright, so as you can see, cheese is melted. Milk made it creamy. You don't want to overcook that milk and turn it into cottage cheese. Okay, so just keep it on low. Keep stirring it. This is something you can't leave unattended. Alright, then hopefully you can see this. Let me move it off of this. Okay, we take, let's see, 1/4 of a cup of sour cream. Let me measure that because I don't want to do too much. This is my first time making this recipe. You don't know how it's going to turn out. I always want to do it the exact way the recipe calls for, or pretty close to it, before I go messing with it. And so it says to add 1/4 of a cup of sour cream, and that's what I added. And you just stir that in. And that is the end of that. So you just stir it in until it's blended, but you take it off the heat to add that sour cream. So don't forget that. It's really important. It doesn't look bad at all. It looks pretty tasty. That's it.